Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us both, the teacher and the taught, together by revealing knowledge. May the Lord protect us both by giving us the results of knowledge. May we attain vigor together. Let what we study be invigorating or illuminating. May we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. All right. So in the Katha Upanishad, we're studying this wonderful dialogue between Yama, the Lord of Death, and the little boy Nachiketa. And Yama is teaching Nachiketa about the knowledge of the self, of our true nature, of what we are. The promise in Vedanta is that our the goal of our life, all that we can attain, peace, transcendence of problems, it's all easily within our reach because it is our real nature. If we know what we truly are, we will transcend suffering and attain fulfillment. Dukkha nivritti, transcendence of suffering, and Paramananda Prapti, attainment of fulfillment. How does that happen? In Vedanta, in the path of knowledge, it happens by realizing who we are. It's as straightforward as that. We are already here. We are ourselves. I, me, myself, my real nature is always there because I'm here. But we don't see that. How do you see that? So Yama is giving the teachings, and we'll just take a quick recap of what we have been doing. Remember the chariot. So Yama introduces, it's a classic, very ancient way of describing the human personality, the chariot. So we'll start there and quickly go through the verses, the mantras, which we have already done. This is 1.3.3. We have already done these things. I'll just quickly go through that and give a little bit of catching up and a recap of what we have done. The third mantra said in this chapter, Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi Shariram Rathamevatu Buddhim tu Sarathim Vidhi Mana Pragrahamevacha. So know the self as the master of the chariot. You are the passenger. The body is the chariot. And the intellect is the charioteer. The driver is the intellect. And the mind is the reins, the bridle. Controlling what? Controlling the horses. So next mantra says, fourth, Indriyani hayan ahu vishayangsteshu gocharan atmendriya mano yuktam bhoktityahur manishina. So the wise people say that our sense organs, and these are the horses, and the path they run upon is the objects in the world. You know, the eyes see the forms, ears hear sound, and so on. And so they're like horses. Yoked to the body, the sense organs, and the mind, the self is now called the bhokta, the enjoyer. You are actually the passenger sitting in this body-mind complex. The body-mind complex is the chariot. You're actually the passenger there. It's an instrument for you. But then connected to this, yoked to this, combined with this, you become the enjoyer and the doer. I mean, the Sanskrit words are bhokta and karta, the experiencer. It's just not just enjoying, it's suffering also. More suffering than enjoying. As we become engaged with this body and mind, we experience. With the mind, we can think and imagine and feel and remember. And with the intellect, we understand all of this. And with the senses, we can see. The awareness, the self, I can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And with the organs of action, you know, with the speech, I can speak. With the hands, I can grasp. With the legs, I can walk, and so on. All of these now become possible for me. understanding, feeling, desiring, acting. Jnana, Ichha, Kriya. Jnana means knowledge, the power of understanding, of knowing. Then desiring, the motive power within us. I want, whatever it is that I want. And then that kicks the body into action with the 5 senses of knowledge and the 5 senses of action. We act in this world. All of this is when you, the consciousness, you become, you're yoked with the body mind. A problem is that you, the consciousness, I, the consciousness, I am not aware of myself as awareness. I am aware of myself as body mind. It's like the passenger has forgotten himself or herself and thinks I am the chariot. Now, how ridiculous is that? But that's our condition. We think we are the chariot. Realizing our true nature, that I am the passenger in the chariot, you can still let the chariot do its job. You can still let the, the chariot can run and should run. Similarly, the body can act, and the body should act. Body should be active in this world. But I can realize that I am not the body mind. That sets me free. I transcend the agentship and the experientialship of the body. These are clumsy words in Sanskrit. Bhoktritva kartritva. Then the next. So this is a model. Body mind is called chariot, and then in the chariot, the body is the chariot. In that he points out 3 things. One is the sensory system. So those are the horses. That's one. Second is the reins with which the horses are controlled. That's the mind. And third is the driver, the charioteer. That's the intellect. So keep your attention on these 3. The senses, the reins, that is the mind, and the intellect. You might say, why? Isn't it all included in the chariot? Isn't it all included in the body mind? Yes, but because we are on our way to enlightenment, these 3 are important. The sensory system, the mind, and the intellect. And you are none of them. You are the chariot, the passenger in the chariot. You are in the body mind, you are the awareness, awareness itself. Now, what do we do with this chariot model? Next, 5th mantra. Yastu avijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasya indriyani avashyani dushtashva iva sarathe. But the organs of that intellect which, being ever associated with an uncontrolled mind, becomes devoid of discrimination, are truly like the vicious horses of the charioteer. This is our usual condition. Mind does not have knowledge. Knowledge means it has all sorts of knowledge, which we get in school and college, but not Vedantic knowledge, not self-knowledge. The mind does not, the intellect does not have self-knowledge. Vedantic knowledge, which is being imparted here, normally does not know who the reality is, what the reality is. And the mind is flickering, not focused, scattered. And the senses are indisciplined. They run to whatever is pleasing towards them and run away from whatever is displeasing towards them. So this is the condition. It is like the horses are indisciplined. They don't respond to commands. The reins by which the horses have to be controlled, it has become loose. It is not useful anymore. And the driver, the charioteer, is completely misinformed. So that is disastrous for the journey. For the passenger, it's disastrous because the chariot is going to meet with an accident then. Imagine, the driver is drunk, the steering wheel is loose, and the wheels are all going in different directions. You're going to have a terrible accident. In contrast, what do we need? What do we need this chariot to do? What condition should it be in? Yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada tasyendriyani vashyani sadashva iva sarathe. But that intellect, which is associated with a restrained mind, is endowed with discrimination. The organs are controllable like the good horses of a charioteer. So, the intellect is endowed with knowledge about the self. Who am I? That knowledge. And the knowledge is not in awareness. The knowledge is in the intellect, actually. Awareness is there all the time. If the intellect is bewildered, is confused, is misled, same awareness will illumine that intellect. The intellect is now trained with Vedantic knowledge or self-knowledge. Awareness illumines that. So intellect has Vedantic knowledge, self-knowledge, one. The mind is now focused, not flickering. Even if the intellect has knowledge, if the mind is flickering, you will not be able to translate that knowledge into day-to-day activity. The mind will fail us again and again. So, like, I know I'm the witness consciousness, but when that person is rude, I lose my temper. What happened? The knowledge is in the intellect, but the mind is so loose, is so not aware, not alert. It just repeats patterns of behavior. Somebody said something rude and there's a flash of anger, then I say something back in anger. What happened? The mind did it because the mind was, is not mindful. In fact, that's the word used here, samanaska, mindful. So it's not trained to be mindful. When the mind is mindful, mind is focused, the intellect has self-knowledge, then the senses come under control very easily. Similarly, he says, if the charioteer is sensible, if the reins are strongly in the hands of the charioteer and the horses are well trained, and they will come under control easily. Then the next, seventh one is so what? Why should I bother about, a philosophically trained intellect, a focused mind, and controlled senses? What happens if I don't bother with all this? Seventh mantra says, Yastu avijnanavan bhavati amanaska sada shuchi nasa tatpadamapnoti samsaram chadhigacchati. If a person whose intellect is not informed, the mind is flickering, and the senses are ever engaged in impure activities, that person does not attain the goal. The goal is enlightenment and freedom. What happens to that person? Meets with an accident. What's the name of that accident? Samsara. Samsaram chadhigacchati, attains to samsara. I think we are all like major multi-car crash with that. That's basically our lives. That's where we are right now. But on the other hand, the person who leads a disciplined life, whose mind is focused and the intellect is enlightened, that person will realize the goal of human life, that is enlightenment and freedom. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati samanaska sada shuchi satu tat padamapnoti yasmad bhuyo na jayate. That passenger, that master of the chariot, who has a discriminating intellect, who is endowed with a controlled, focused mind, is ever pure. That means the senses are under control, attains the goal from which he is not born again. That means does not come back to samsara again. One way is the disaster called samsara. The other way is freedom from samsara. This is the whole project here. What is that goal? Number 9. Vijnana sarathir yastu manah pragrahavan nara sodhvana paramapnoti tadvishno paramam padam. Very poetically sublime verse, poetically put. That passenger, who has his charioteer as a discriminating intellect, whose mind is under control, that person attains the end of the road. Adhyana paramapnoti. You reach the end of the road. What is that end of the road? Tad Vishnu paramam padam. That is the highest place of Vishnu, which is Godhood, basically. You realize Godhood. You become one with the infinite. Then the method is now being introduced. First, the framework, and then the actual technique. The framework we had done last time, up to last time, and I'd left people on tenterhooks. How do you actually do it? But before that, 10th and 11th mantras, which gives us the framework now, the path, the teaching. 10th, Indriyebhya parayartha arthebhyascha param mana Manasastu para buddhir, buddhir atma mahan para. These sense objects are higher than the senses. Higher means subtler. Subtler than the senses. Why are sense objects subtler than the senses? I won't go into it. I spent some time explaining it last time. This is a verse which is used in the Gita, and Krishna has simplified this verse. If you remember, I talked about it. Doesn't matter. He's just saying there are sense objects, there are senses. Higher than that is the higher means subtler and more inwards. Attebhyascha parammana. The mind is subtler, more inward. More subtle, more inward is the intellect. Why subtle and inward? Because the most subtle and the most inward is the self, you. That's where we are going. We're trying to locate the passenger of the chariot. So we're going into the very heart of our own existence, your own existence. At the very heart of your own existence is what? You, the real you. So we are going from the external to the internal, from the senses to the mind to the intellect, more internal, more internal, more inner, more subtle, subtler and subtler. And more subtle than the intellect is the cosmic mind, of which this intellect is a part. Notice what we would expect. Oh, we've been studying Vedanta long enough. I understand what he's doing. Notice the body, and then notice we are experiencing the body through the senses. And notice the senses. Notice that we are experiencing the senses with the mind. Notice the mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions. We are noticing the mind with the help of the faculty of understanding, intellect. And then beyond that, if you push, you will hit a blank, which is the anandamaya, or the ajnana, what we experience in deep sleep. And then we will be told, the Swami will tell us the 10th man story for the millionth time, and say that you are the witness of all of these components of your being. That's what we expect. But no, Advaita Vedanta is not just individual, not just that one consciousness within. You are the one consciousness illumining the entire universe. So at some point in any true Advaitic teaching, the cosmic will be included. So when you say, I am the intellect, here is the intellect, and how do you locate the intellect? The mind is the thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas which we have. Those are all mind. Memories, desires, all mind. Intellect, the best way to locate is intellect is that at the heart of the intellect is the sense of I. The certain sense that I am. This is at the level of the Vijnanamaya. So I am, that is the level of the intellect. Of course, the intellect is the faculty of knowing. Nishchayatmika antakarana vritti buddhi. Intellect, that's the definition of intellect in Vedanta Sar. The determinative faculty. When you get something, the flash of understanding comes, that's intellect. And at the heart of that is the I sense, which is constantly there, that I am, the center which integrates all of these mind and senses and intellect and all into one person. That's also in the intellect. And that ego, that's the I, and that's not the real you, that's not the real us. So I am that, that's the intellect. Then the Upanishad says, wait a minute here, before going on to Atma, wait a minute. This intellect and the mind and the senses, they're all part of a cosmic mind. Just look around yourself. So many people, so many animals, living beings, varieties of bodies, varieties of activities going on, multiple sensory systems, multiple minds and intellects, and all of that together is one cosmic mind. They are not separate. There's one cosmic mind, is called Hiranyagarbha. And that is what is mentioned here. Buddhir Atma Mahan Paraha. Beyond our individual intellect is the vast cosmic mind. And then next, number 11. Mahatah param abhyaktam abhyaktat purushah para purushanna param kinchit sakashtha sa paragati. The unmanifest is higher than the Mahat. The Purusha is higher than the unmanifested. There is nothing higher than the Purusha. He is the culmination. He is the highest goal. So beyond this cosmic mind, like beyond our individual mind, if you try to go beyond the intellect right now, if you try to notice, you will get a blankness. Suppose you shut down everything. You are not seeing, close your eyes, you are not thinking, not remembering, you're not even trying to understand, you're not even trying to feel the I. What will happen? You'll fall asleep or you'll just feel a blankness for a moment. That blankness is the Anandamaya Kosha, the Ajnana. And in the cosmic level, that is Maya. That is the seed form of the Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. Just as our mind goes into a blankness in deep sleep, the cosmic mind in its seed form is Maya. Here it is called Abhyakta. And for obvious reasons, it's called the unmanifest. Abhyakta means unmanifest. Beyond the unmanifest is the Purusha, is the real self, is the real you. Purusha is the real you, the real self. And what's beyond the Purusha? The Purushanna param kinchit. There is nothing beyond the Purusha. That is the ultimate reality. Sakashtha. He is the culmination. He is the highest goal. That consciousness, our real nature, you are the ultimate ground of this universe. You are the base, the foundation of this entire cosmic play. Not only of this little body, mind, little person, of the entire universe. And that is called Purusha, and that's our real nature. We are not part of it. We are it. All of us together, not even together, individually also. There's no individual and cosmic there. There's only one undivided consciousness there. Division comes at the level of Maya. In Vedanta, sir, you see how useful it is. The ultimate reality, existence, consciousness, bliss is indivisible. But Maya is infinitely divisible. That accounts for so many individual beings. Anyway, so that is the teaching so far. And in the 12th mantra, he just sums it up saying that this is the ultimate reality and it's very subtle. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudhatmana prakashate drishyate tvagraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi. This pure consciousness is hidden in all beings and does not appear, is not explicitly available as the self of all beings. Because normally, what do we mean by self? We normally mean the ego, I. This consciousness, which is the self of all beings, is not obvious at all. But by the seers of subtle things, sukshmadarshi, those who understand subtle ways, subtle things, this pure consciousness is seen through a pointed and fine intellect. This purified and pointed, sharpened intellect is done through sadhana, through spiritual practice. That's why spiritual practice is necessary. Done. Now, I had said, so what's the technique? How do we actually practice it now? If it's so obvious, it's here, not obvious, but it's here, it's our real nature. How do I actually come to realize it, come to see this? So a technique will be suggested by none other than the Lord of Death, Yama. And we will do that now. So the mantra is the 13th mantra. 13th mantra. Yachedvang manasi pragya tadyached jnana atmani jnanamatmani mahati nyached tadyached shanta atmani. The translation from Swami Gambhiranandaji is: the discriminating man should merge the organ of speech into the mind. He should merge the mind into the intelligent self. He should merge the intelligent self into the great soul. He should merge the great soul into the peaceful self. What does all this mean? Okay. Remember, what are we trying to do? We have been told that we are this, we are consciousness. I am awareness, this Purusha, this final ultimate reality. And I am that already. How do I come to see that or realize that? That's the purpose of the path of Vedanta, path of knowledge. We'll have to go from the external to the internal. Not physically internal. If you physically go into a body internally, you will find organs, flesh, blood, and all that, of course. Internal into our own experience of ourselves. Right now, you're experiencing yourself, experiencing the world, you're experiencing yourself. Attend to the experience of yourself. Draw our attention away from the experience of the world to our experience of ourselves. So immediately the body becomes obvious. You draw your attention away from the experience of the body to the experience of our sensory system. I am seeing, I'm hearing, I'm smelling, tasting, touching. And the yama starts there. The teaching starts at that point. Be aware of your sensory system. He says, merge the speech into the mind. Merge the speech into the mind. Walk. Yached means you throw or withdraw or merge. What into what? He says, Vak manasi, speech into mind. By speech is meant all the senses, is meant eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, is also meant all the senses of action, the organs of action. So speech is one organ of action, hands are another organ of action, feet are another organ of action. So all these organs of action and organs of sense, 10 organs. He says, merge them back into the mind. What do you mean by merge? It means to still them, to step back from sensory level of existence into mental existence. Now, here this has to be understood carefully. It's not just simply a question of sitting quietly and closing your eyes. It means that, but it's not simply that. It's more subtle and more powerful than that. The teaching is that merging means noticing that all the sensory activities are ultimately mind. Let me repeat that. All the sensory activities are ultimately mental, mind. Seeing is mind, hearing is mind, smelling, tasting, touching is mind, talking is mind, walking and grasping things, all the actions that we do and all the knowledge that we get from the world, ultimately it's mind. What do you mean? There are, obviously the physical organs are not the mind. There are eyes and ears and nose and tongue. There are hands and feet. That's not what is meant. The activities of these organs, called vritti, the activities of these organs all are ultimately dumped in the mind and controlled from the mind. It's the mind which is the control center of all our sensory systems. One very good way of noticing this is dreams. Notice, in the dreams, our eyes are closed. We are not hearing anything physically externally. We are not tasting anything. But in dreams, we seem to be seeing perfectly well. You see a dream world. You hear your friends talking. You can even, maybe some people have some kind of taste or so. Multiple senses might be working there. And yet we know for sure none of the senses are working there. Physical senses, these organs, they're all shut down. We are sleeping. That means the mind by itself in the dream world has split into the 5 organs of sense. So mind is, we know for sure whatever you see in the dream world is being generated by the mind. The mind in itself is now able to see, hear, smell, taste, touch. In itself is now able to do things like walk around. You don't, in a dream, nobody has this feeling, oh, I can't see anything. Obviously, I can't see anything because I'm sleeping, my eyes are closed. How can I see anything? You don't feel that. You feel I'm able to see perfectly well. We don't even have any feeling that we are sleeping on the bed and eyes are closed. No. Notice how the mind in itself can vividly simulate the activities of all senses. That's because even while waking, all the senses are, behind all the senses is the mind. Right now, sensory activity, whether organs of action or organs of sense, of knowledge, is actually mental activity. Even in the waking state, notice how a person, there's a famous story in the Upanishads of a man who was making arrows, sharpening an arrow, and a whole procession passes by and he does not see the procession. And somebody says, and then asks him, didn't you see the king and the retinue go past? No, I was so focused. That means his eyes were open, his ears were there, but he didn't see anything, didn't hear the commotion, because he was so focused, the mind had no extra bandwidth left over for any other sensory activity. So without the mind, the senses cannot generate sensory experience. That's actually pretty simple. Without the mind, senses cannot generate any sensory experience. Without paying attention, you can't do even simple things like talking or walking. You will have an accident, or you won't be able to talk. You have to pay attention to what you are saying, attention to where you are going. Attention is mind. So when you say withdraw into the mind, what the Upanishad is giving, Yama is giving, the Lord of Death is giving us a subtle and powerful teaching. Not just simply sit quietly. Yes, sit quietly, but notice that thoughts, and that seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, they're all mental. Stop the actual physical action of seeing something. Yes, close your eyes. Withdraw into the mind. Now I am not a seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, talking, walking, grasping creature. I am a mental being now. Thought, and only thought. And physically, what are you doing? You're sitting quietly. Obviously, you're sitting quietly. You've got closed your eyes in a calm environment. Now you're going to, so this is, now we are withdrawn from the sensory system into the mind. And must stay there for some time. Steady yourself there before taking the next step. Who can do this? He is saying here, Pragyaha, the wise one. Who is the wise one? The one who has already acquired the wisdom up to the 12th mantra before this, who has already got the framework of the chariot correct, who knows the goal is to find out the passenger of the chariot, myself, who knows that the senses and the mind and the intellect, they all belong to the chariot. And they're like the driver and the reins and the horses. They are not me. All this knowledge is there. Vedantic teaching is there. This is called pragya. So Shankaracharya will say in his commentary, Viveki, the discerning person who is already trained in Vedantic thinking. Such a person now will withdraw the sensory activities into the mind. How do you withdraw the sensory activities into the mind? Of course, you sit physically quietly, but notice all of them are nothing but the mind. All the senses are the mind only in their activity. Next, what do you do? Tadyached jnana atmani. Now the mind you withdraw into the intellect. So we are going subtler and deeper, from external to internal, from gross to subtle, subtle to subtler. Mind is pretty subtle. From thoughts, feelings, memories, desires, sensory apperception, will, all of these are mind. Now I still them. What is at the center of all of them? What is inner to all of them? What is subtler than all of them? Intellect. What is that intellect? How to locate it? I've already told you. Locate the I sense. At the center of this constellation of thoughts, emotions, desires, activity, sensory perception is I. You, the sense of individual I sense. Locate that and you've located the intellect, buddhi. Withdraw it all into that I sense. Practically, what does it mean? As I have stopped seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, walking, talking, now I stop, quieten, at least try to quieten thoughts, emotions, drives, memories. I quieten that and stay with I am. That is withdrawing the mind into the intellect. Not easy. And he says, stay there. Now stay there for some more time. Sit there quietly like that with the I am. Then next, what do you do? Jnanam atmani mahati niyachet. Note, just note this. This I am sense, this intellect is actually a tiny part of a vast cosmic mind that is called Mahat. Here he calls it Mahat. It is Hiranyagarbha. It is Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. What does it consist of? It consists of the sensory perceptions of all human beings, not only human beings, all kinds of animals, all living beings, all of their sensory activity. One, it consists of all the thoughts, emotions, memories of all minds. It consists of the knowledge in all intellects and the common ego in each mind and intellect. And this one ego is part of that. This one I am is part of a similar I am in all living beings. This is called Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. It has three powers: Jnana, Ichcha, Kriya, the power of knowledge, the power of desire and of wanting, and the power of acting, doing things. Jnana, Ichcha, Kriya, all three, and in the cosmic sense, in the sense of all that you see around, all living beings, all life, that is Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. And that also includes prana, which means life. All of life is included in that cosmic mind, Hiranyagarbha. How do you withdraw the intellect into Hiranyagarbha? Just recognize that this I am is part of an ocean of I am, not just one little I am in one body mind. Then what do? Tad yachet shanta atmani. To what is all this whole drama, this panorama, this amazing spectacle? To what is appearing? In what all this is appearing? And we all know it is consciousness, awareness. It's a fact, isn't it? You must be some kind of an aware being for all this to be experienced. In awareness. Notice that here we have skipped over avyakta, the unmanifest, maya, ajnana. Doesn't matter. All of this display, cosmic mind, the individual intellect, the individual mind, individual sensory system, and individual body, and the world experienced by the body, the whole thing is appearing in awareness, like a steady light. And that awareness is a very important step here. All of these are objects. Even the mind, the intellect is an object. But this awareness is not an object. It's you. It's the pure subject. In that, this objective order of things is appearing. The intellect, the mind, the sensory system, the body, and the universe. So one consciousness in which, one awareness in which all of this is appearing. That awareness, there is no objective quality to it. So it's called Shanta Atmani. Shanta means peace. Into the peace self, into the consciousness self. The consciousness self is called the peace self. This is from Mandukya Upanishad. Your name is peace. It's not that you're peaceful. The mind can sometimes be peaceful. The external world can sometimes be peaceful, or sometimes it can be, there'll be war and disturbance. The mind can be depressed or annoyed or angry or excited, or sometimes peaceful. But you are peace itself. Your real nature, that awareness is peace itself. That's why it's called Shanta Atmani. In the self which is peace, into that you merge the cosmic mind. How do you merge the cosmic mind in the peace self? Nothing, you just recognize the whole thing, this whole display is an appearance in you. There is no external, something apart from consciousness, or some other entity called a cosmic mind, whose part is an individual intellect and mind and sensory system and body and external world. All of that is an appearance in awareness, in being, existence. Sat, Chit, Ananda. This is the Shanta Atma. I remember when Sri Ramakrishna, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, his talk is going on about spiritual life, and somebody remarks, oh, the path is an endless path, and there is no end to the spiritual path. And Sri Ramakrishna immediately corrects him and says, no, where there is peace, that is the end of the path. What peace is he talking about? Brahman, Atman. The ultimate reality is discoverable, within quote and unquote, is recognizable. It's not discoverable or recognizable in an objective fashion, but as I am that. Aham asmi, I am Brahman. This is the meaning. You contemplate that. Using the intellect, you contemplate the fact that all this is appearing in this background radiation of consciousness, this which I am. I am that Atman. And stay there. This is a realization and understanding. So you start. You sit quietly, shut your eyes in a peaceful environment, and withdraw your mind from all external thought of the world. Then you notice the body, then withdraw mind from the body to the senses. You can see, I can feel my existence. From there, you withdraw into the mind, and notice that senses are nothing but the mind. Notice that, actually notice. Without the mind, no sensory experience is possible. So with nothing but the mind, and the mind, now you withdraw, shut down the activities of the mind, which are thoughts, emotions, perceptions, memories, withdraw into the sense of individual existence. And then notice, just think with that intellect itself, just notice that it is, the entire cosmic mind is just like this I am sense. Every entity has this I am sense. This is the Hiranyagarbha, which consists of the universal intellect, understanding, universal feeling, and universal action, jnana, ichcha, kriya. And to what is all this appearing? That is the merging back of the cosmic mind into the Atman. At that point, non-duality is attained. If you notice the beauty of this system, if you take an individual consciousness, an individual intellect, and I am the witness of this intellect, then you will still have a sense of a kind of, background feeling of individuality. And then the thought will nag you, what about this world? No, in Advaita Vedanta, the world is non-different from this background awareness which we are, this peace Atman, Shanta Atma. It's a very beautiful name. In fact, our Swami in Delhi, Ramakrishna Mission Delhi, his name is Shantatmananda. It's from Shantatma. And let me just share this with you. I was having a long conversation today with a scholarly monk from Benares, from Kashi. And we are having very subtle discussion of the methodology of teaching Advaita Vedanta. He says, one approach is what you do, Swami. He told me, he has watched some of my videos. He said, see, what you do is, you do Drig Drishya Viveka. I've often talked about this. I am the experiencer, everything is experienced. The seer is different from the seen, and so on. He says that is a Sankhyan technique. It is true, it's from Sankhyan technique. The problem with that will be twofold. One is, you will end up with a feeling of, I am a witness consciousness in this body and mind. And so possibly there are millions of witness consciousnesses, drashta, seer, sakshi. That feeling will be there all the time. And that is not a problem for Sankhya, because that's exactly what they want to say. There are many, many consciousnesses. And then that scholar, that Swamiji said to me, then Swami, notice what you have to do. You have to work very hard to show people it is one consciousness in all bodies and minds. If you listen to my lectures, that's the next step I take. This is one side of the problem. The other side of the problem is, see, this is not non-duality. It's still duality, because seer and seen have been separated. So the entire universe and the body and the mind, all of this is still there. Now you have to now take up Jagat Mithyatva, falsity of the world, and show that these are all appearances in consciousness, and therefore not a countable second apart from consciousness, therefore not to non-dual Advaita. It's a beautiful analysis of most of my talks. In various ways, I just do this. Sometimes through Panchakosha Viveka, sometimes through Drigdrishya Viveka, sometimes through Avasthatraya, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and Turiya. But basically, I'm doing this all the time. And he says this effort to prove the falsity of the world is ultimately, it comes from Buddhism. This Drigdrishya analysis, what you do, it ultimately comes from Sankhya. And there's a price you have to pay for this. Then you have to work hard to make it non-dual after all of this. And he says, it's fine. This is one way of doing it. And it has an advantage because it's very logical. It's immediately appealing. And one can follow it step by step. There is the classical Upanishadic method is to start with awareness, with being, and to see how that awareness or being appears as you, the experiencer, and the experienced universe. If it is that awareness appearing along with the appearance of the mind, it becomes the jiva, the knower, the individual, drashta. When it appears with name and form, it becomes jagat. But in both cases, nothing other than the awareness. And dream example is very good to show that. So Upanishad starts from the very root. So non-duality is preserved there all throughout. Anyway, just I wanted to share this with you. Before I go to the questions, let me just read a little bit about what Shankaracharya has said in his commentary to this thing, this technique, the technique which has been shared by Yama, the Lord of Death. This technique is, in Vedanta, this will be called Nididhyasana, Vedantic Nididhyasana. The Shravana, the teaching has already been given. Manana, Shravana has been done up to 12th mantra. 13th mantra is having understood this. That's why he's calling you Prajna, the one who has already well informed. You have understood the teaching. Now stay with the teaching. How do I stay with the teaching? Here, do this. Withdraw in this way. From the world to the body, from the body. Withdraw means attend, attention, understanding. World to the body, body to the senses, senses to the mind, mind to the intellect, intellect to cosmic mind to the non-objective pure awareness. Now Shankaracharya says, Tat pratipatti upayamaha. The way to realize, to become enlightened, the method is being now taught. That is Shankaracharya saying. This is the method. Then he says, Yachet, Niyachet, Upasangharet. That word Yachet means put. Put means Upasangharet, withdraw. Withdraw means, and then who will do it? Pragya, the wise one. Who is the wise one? Shankaracharya says, Viveki, the one who does Viveka, this discrimination or discernment between self and not self. Kim, what will you withdraw? Vag, vacham, speech. And then he says, Vag atra upalakshanartha sarvesham indriyana. So this it mentions speech, but just to indicate the entire group of 5 sense organs and 5 motor organs are all included under the umbrella. All of them have to be withdrawn because they are nothing other than mind itself. Kwa, where will you withdraw them? Manasi, in the mind. Then he says, Mana, Shankaracharya says, Mano yachet jnane prakasha swarupe buddho atmani. Withdraw the mind into that which knows the mind, the knowing faculty, understanding faculty. What is that? Intellect. And as I gave you the clue, intellect is a more fuzzy, vague term. Catch hold of the eye sense, which we all feel right now. Buddhirhi manadi karanani apnoti ityatma pratyaktesham. The buddhi, the intellect, pervades the mind and the sensory system and is internal to them, is the very self of those, the mind and the sensory system. So withdraw it into that very self. And then he goes on to say later on, he talks about the Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic mind. And then finally, he gives a beautiful statement. Yachet shante sarva vishesha pratyastamita rupe avikriye sarvantare sarva buddhi pratyasakshini mukhyatmani. Finally, withdraw, merge, recognize. All of this is a display in, he says, mukhyatmani, in the primary self, in the ultimate self, ultimate reality. What is that? Shanta, in the that which is peace. Sarva vishesha pratyastamita, where all objective, distinctive qualities have have faded away. It is one blazing light. Aurobindo called it a white glare of an immortal gaze. Then avikriye, unchanging, changeless. Sarvantare, the innermost of all existence, of all beings, of all minds, of all beings, of all existence. At the heart of it is this awareness. Sarva buddhi pratyaya sakshini, into the witness of the activities of all minds, of all intellects, all minds. They're all illumined by one consciousness. What is that? Mukhya Atma, the real self, you. I remember in one of the hymns to Sri Ramakrishna, one phrase is used. Buddhescha sakshi nikhilasya janto yo vetti sarvam nachayasya vetta. The one who is the witness of the buddhi, of the intellects of all sentient beings, the one who shines upon them, who knows it all, but whom nobody knows. What is that? That's consciousness. It is consciousness which knows everything in this universe, but nothing knows consciousness. Nothing can knows means nothing can objectify consciousness. To consciousness, everything is an object. To you, everything is an object. But you are not an object to anything. So that is Sri Ramakrishna. And you see, that is the Atma, the self, yes. And that's I, yes. You, the self, and God are one reality. When Vedanta is studied in the Himalayas, they have these invocatory verses, and one verse will always be chanted. Ishvaro gururatmeti murti bheda vibhagine vyomavad vyapta dehaya dakshinamurtaye namaha. I salute that one radiance which appears as God, which appears as I, this individual being, and as my guru who's teaching me Vedanta. Who is that? Vast like the sky. This is a radiance like the sky. That is Dakshinamurti, the south-facing Shiva. This is from Dakshinamurti Stotra. Yes. All right, now let's quickly look at the questions. Vishnu, that which surrounds everything. Vishnu's Paramam Padam is the fourth pada of Vishnu, Turiya. Nothing beyond Turiya. Turiya surrounds everything means, yes. Like the clay surrounds the pot means the pot is clay, right? The waves are water. The sparks are fire. Like the great space is, it pervades all the space in the pots. Right, very beautifully put. I am that highest state of Vishnu. So that is realized. Rick says we have the Mahat, unmanifest, and Purusha. Where do consciousness, God, and Brahman fit into this hierarchy? Right. Consciousness is the Purusha. Consciousness plus the unmanifested is God. Consciousness is the Purusha, and that is Brahman. Brahman, Purusha, consciousness, one thing. Consciousness, of course, I mean pure consciousness. Brahman, Purusha, consciousness, the real self, you, the real you, that's the ultimate reality. What about God? It is this consciousness limited by the unmanifest in association with Maya, who is called God or Ishwar or Bhagavan. Rick says at each stage in verse 13, we hear the phrase, he should merge. There's an agent or doer separate from all these things that are being merged, who can do the merging. One should have merged himself early in the process. No, it means here the merger is less an activity of merging one thing into another, more an activity of recognizing a fact about yourself. In the stage of the senses, the body being still and the senses being quietened, there is an activity going on where you try to quieten down the senses. But then you recognize the sensory experiences are nothing without the mind. And the mind is nothing without the I sense of the intellect. And the I sense is ultimately recognized to be an appearance in consciousness, which you are. At each stage, you the consciousness, with the help of the intellect, you are recognizing these facts about yourself. Is Hiranyagarbha same as Mahat? Yes. Shankaracharya in his commentary also points out cosmic mind. You see, a pure Sankhyan would not do this. Pure Sankhyan would say, merge the senses into the mind into the intellect, and intellect into consciousness. Finished. But the Advaitin will say, at some point, he will bring in the rest of the universe, the whole display of this cosmos. Abhijit says, same question as Rick, step 3 from I am to the cosmic mind. How can there be doer apart from I am? As I said, it's not a doer. You're not actually merging, pushing one thing into the other, drowning one thing in the other. You're just recognizing it's a fact. How do you merge New York into the United States into North America into, into Earth? You just notice New York as it is the United States. It's part of that. This is also United States. This is New York, but this is also United States. And the United States is also North America. You just recognize it. You're not actually merging something. You recognize the fact that it's an accomplished fact. It's not that these are all separate. Now you have to push them back together like a Lego set or something. It's an accomplished fact. And North America is nothing but this earth. You recognize that, and that's the merger. Gaurav says, I did not get a second method. During Rigdrishya Vivek and seeing world like appearance, you discuss non-dual meditation is very logical and direct. Yes, it is. And the second method is not very different from all this. But that Swami from Banaras, he pointed out the techniques which we use, they have their advantage because they are logical and pretty analytical, pretty acceptable, relatable. Drigdrishya Vivek, then the appearance nature of the universe. But they have the price you have to pay for that because they are borrowed from other systems, from Sankhya, from Buddhistic ideas. See, what the point he was trying to make, and which is well taken, is the Upanishads. They have only one point they're trying to make. There is one non-dual reality at the heart of all existence, which is divine. Notice when Vivekananda teaches Vedanta, he doesn't talk about all this. He says, his teaching has these two aspects: our innermost divinity, the divinity within us, and the oneness of all existence. That's pure Upanishadic Advaita. After that, is the world an appearance? Is the Jagat Mithya? Is the Drashta and Drishya separate? All those come much later. They are ways of trying to bring us back to this one realization, that we are all one divine reality, non-dual divine reality, Brahman. That is the core message of the Upanishads. Everything else follows. The appearance nature of the world, Jagat Mithya, world is false. It follows, logically follows. But that's not the central teaching. Another point this Swami made, which was well taken, I agreed entirely. He says, he told me that, Swami, in the way you are teaching, people will have a problem with bhakti. Notice, you have borrowed two techniques, one from Buddhism and one from Sankhya. Neither Sankhya nor Buddhism have any space for God. So you can accomplish all of this, Rigdrishya Viveka, falsity of the world, Jagat Mithyatva, that means falsity of the world, separation of the seer and the seen, and come to non-dual realization without once talking about God and devotion. Whereas in the Upanishadic way, you start at the top or at the bottom with one Brahman, and that appears as you, the knower, with the mind, and the world with name and form. When name and form comes, that Brahman appears as the world. When the mind appears, that Brahman appears as you. Now, in the background is one non-dual reality. If I am that one non-dual reality with mind and body, with the appearance of mind and body, Now I can conceive of that non-dual reality as God, and I can have devotion to, it's my source after all. I can have devotion to my source. And all the devotional Vedantic systems, dualism, qualified monism, Vishishtadvaita, Dvaita, they arise because of this fact. You start with non-dual Brahman, come to yourself and the world, devotion is still possible in that way. So these are good points. Only thing is, it might not be as logically appealing as seer and the seen and the appearance nature of the world. All of that is more appealing to the modern mind, the mind trained by modern science. All right. Jennifer says, Swamiji, would you venture to explain this 4-step instruction in the context of Vichara as taught by Ramana Maharshi? The same, but why to mention Mahat Hiranyagarbha? Right. So the reason why the Mahat or Hiranyagarbha is mentioned is because of this. Notice, even in the path of the Maharshi, Ramana Maharshi, you will end up with, who am I? I am that reality. You realize I am awareness and not the body, not the mind. The world is dreamlike. But the oneness of all existence is not established there. And you will have to bring that in later. The non-duality of existence, that none of this exists without me, the witness consciousness. Who am I will take you to the heart of realization. I am pure awareness, Atman, Brahman, whatever you call it. But it still has to be said that what is this cosmos then? What is all this? If you ask, that integration is done. That's why the Upanishads, at some point, they will bring in the cosmos. From individual mind, they'll bring in the cosmic mind. You don't have to do anything. You just have to recognize that this experience of the ego, of the mind I'm having, it's a tiny part of a vast mind. Tamiko says, as a follow-up to Jennifer's question, my understanding is Ramana Maharshi instructed the eye sense is located in the heart. How does one incorporate this focus of awareness? Heart is just a way of speaking. It helps us to locate in your practice that in the heart. But he meant the spiritual heart. What is the spiritual heart is, to put it very simply, just have a feel for your own existence now, our own being, what philosophers call phenomenologically. It's a sense of my physical being, my emotional, mental being. All of these are components to my feeling of my own existence. At the heart, at the core of this existence is what Ramana Maharshi calls the heart. And within that is the real nature, the I, the witness consciousness. Shiva Priya says, all is in the awareness, no world, is very direct, precise method. But the other one, stepwise method, is very long. One might get lost in between. Yeah, that's why you need a teacher. Shiva Priya says, awareness is the buddhi, intellect, cosmic mind. Then the awareness of that blankness, correct. Even the blankness, even Maya, appears in awareness. Good. Pravir Babu, you're holding on to the question for a long time. Let us hear the question.
Maharaj. So in your talk on the self, in all beings and all beings in the self, which is just up on the internet a few days ago, you used it a little differently. You said you took experience of seeing, and from that you said that it's all in the mind, and the mind, you said that the mind is shining in consciousness, is revealed in consciousness. So it says it's all pervaded by consciousness. It's one consciousness. So the intellect didn't come in that actually, and the Hiranyagarbha. So that
right. And so that is not an important distinction, because intellect is, when I said mind is shining in consciousness, intellect is just one more faculty of the mind. I'm using mind in a way we use it in English, in a broad sense of whatever is going on inside. So our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and also intellect, and also ego. So I wanted to make it very, very direct. You have an experience of the world, but none of that is possible without mind. You have an experience of the mind, but none of that is possible without you, the consciousness. So ultimately, you shining, mind shines. You and mind shining, the world shines for you.
I found that very easy for much
Yes, it's very easy and it's good for sadhana. Remember, however, huge amount of philosophical argumentation has gone into saying something like that, because there will be huge questions of, you are already assuming there is no external world. It is in the mind only. Doesn't the world have an external reality apart from your mind? So the whole idealism versus realism debate, the debate between 1,000-year debate between the Buddhist Vijnanavadins, and on one side, on the other side, the Hindu Nayayikas, Vaisheshikas, Sankhyas, Mimamsakas, realism versus idealism. And that debate has to be gone through. A lot of philosophical movements, argumentation, centuries of work has gone into putting it so simply. Not that it will be acceptable to non-dualists, to non-dualists. It's acceptable to you because you're a non-dualist. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Then Rama.
Pranam Swamiji. The question I have is the way we are reading this Upanishad that's being taught here. Where is the non-duality coming here? Because can we understand non-duality without Jagat Mithyatvam? So where is that? Because when we talk about resolving into sense objects, into mind into intellect, are we talking that where is there is nothing apart from consciousness? Everything is consciousness. Where is that coming here, Swamiji? I didn't get.
When you say merging it back, ultimately, when you say intellect, mind, external senses, external world are nothing apart from the consciousness in which you are seeing, then non-duality is already coming. Nothing apart means not two. See, when I see lot of people in a movie, lot of cars and places, actually how many are there? There's nothing apart from the screen. Only one screen is there. In that, we are seeing many characters in a movie because it's a movie. So notice then, underlying it is one reality called the movie screen. But in the movie, you have many characters and many places and many activities and many objects. But none of those objects, places, activities, persons actually exist apart from the screen. So from perspective of the screen, all those things are non-dual. They don't exist apart. And also that's a movie. That is the Jagat Mithyatva. The world, if the world exists apart from you, external, apart from you, the awareness, apart from you, the experience, the consciousness, externally, this is the way of saying that the world is real in itself. But here we are saying the world is not real in itself. It is something experienced in awareness. Right. So it's non-dual. Non-dual means nothing exists apart from consciousness, apart from you, the awareness.
So it is in awareness, but it's not other than awareness. Comes only
yes.
Jagat Mithyatvam, right? So
yes.
Jagat Mithyatvam.
Good example is our dreams.
Yeah.
In our dreams, we see so many things and meet so many people. We are also there. We have a little body in the dreams. We are walking around, but none of those things and bodies and people, none of them actually exist. They are all our own mind appearing in that way. Similarly, here in this waking world, it's not our own mind only. It is consciousness which is appearing as the mind and as the objects. Swami Vivekananda put it so nicely. One only exists. It appears as nature, soul. Nature, this universe. Soul, you. The knower and the known, both are appearing in one awareness. And they are not three things: awareness, knower, known. No. Knower and known are not apart from that awareness. Just as the nice example Srinivas Raju gave, that just as clay surrounds the pot, clay surrounds the pot does not mean that there is a pot and then clay is surrounding it. Every bit of that pot is clay. Every bit of the golden ornament is gold. Every bit of the wave is water. When we say water, wave is surrounded by water. Vishnu is that which surrounds the entire universe. Surrounds the entire universe means every bit of this universe is in reality Vishnu or the divine. The divinity is the only thing that really exists. But we see it fractured into names and forms, like a dream-like quality we see. So other than that divinity, nothing exists. That is non-duality.
Thank you.
Let's bring this to a close. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.